everybody! How are you feeling today? It's Aeroservi, and this is the final deck for, well, Fusion Month. How should I say this? This has been a ride, of course, specifically the deck itself. Like, I wouldn't say deck, but, Fusion Month itself is not really 100% over, like I said in the news video, which you can check because the finale is not really out because of difficulties. I will get it out in the future, pretty much in the near future, and I'll talk with the people, but, yeah, this, I think, is a really good deck to finish it on. One of the most purest fusion decks in the format right now, and probably the strongest there is. It's really a fun deck, and actually, unlike a lot of other formats, even though it's, powerful, it's not annoying at any point. Like, I don't hate it like Zodiac, or I hate it like, other formats like Spiral Zodiac, which is really annoying. But anyway, yeah. And like I said in my news video, I'm going to say here again, because of the virus, or whatever you want to call it, like the quarantine overall, proxies will be a thing, or maybe like cards I'm going to talk about, because I cannot really do anything about this right now. But anyway, we're going to start with the list that I liked. It's not 100% refined yet, but it is pretty much for Master Rule 5. So starting things off, we have 3 Wendy. This is a card that you could cut down and run only at 2. Wendy is a really good one. It's probably the best one out of the new Shaddolls support, and it's probably the card that pretty much make people kind of hate also Invoked, even though I think like people are a little bit biased, because I think if there's any way to stop the Shaddoll Invoked is just banning this one or put it to 1, because I do think this card is the problem for that deck, because you are going to see Shaddolls dinosaurs with the new Eternity Code support. So like I don't think the Invoked are to fault 100%. I do think that the new Shaddolls Invoked is also problematic, and Wendy is the big culprit of that. But regardless, you send it to the graveyard or flip it. Mostly it's just going to be sent to the graveyard because we're in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. You send it to the graveyard, then you pretty much summon a flip monster face down, which is Shaddolls, so it's pretty nice. Then we move on to the rest of them. The best one out of the old lineup, which is kind of funny because back in the day it was only okay. We're running 3 copies of Squamata. Squamata is either a flip, destroy a monster, or, which is pretty much the reason why you can play the get away with only playing 2, is because this one is just any name of your Shaddolls monsters. You just send it to the graveyard and then you send another. It's really powerful. It's really cool. I love this one quite a bit. And again, if like you want to hit the deck, I guess like putting this to 1 and putting this to 1 could work. But like I don't really want them to hit the deck, but it could be a thing. Then we're moving on to Shaddolls Beast. Shaddolls Beast is your draw. You kind of use this, I would say, like out of the old ones, except from Dragon, it's probably the worst one. So you could get away with 1, because the draw effect is cool, but it's not like the most important thing around there. You could get away with only 1 and maybe even playing 1 Falco if you really want to. I decided to not play Falco, even though it's really good in the grind game, because I didn't really find a spot, but Falco is a good option. I'm just going to say that out loud. But yeah, Dragon is just really cool. His effect of course, send to the graveyard, draw a card is pretty nice. I would not say the most necessary, but it does help. Then 2 copies of Hedgehog, which is pretty awesome. Hedgehog is send to the graveyard, search a Shaddolls monster, or flip, add a Shaddolls Sparrow Trap. Again, you're probably going to only just to get that Shaddolls monster to your hand, which is could be like a... Most of the time I love to add Beast to my hand, because then I can send it with an effect and then get the draw. But yeah, it's just really nice to have. It's really cool. Then one of the last of the new ones, the light one is pretty garbage. This one is pretty good. Neshadol Ariel, Nelis Shaddolls Ariel, I don't really know how to pronounce her name, because, yeah. But she is really nice. She also good with the grind game when her send effect to the graveyard, like when she banished 3 cards from the graveyards. But the effect that you mostly care about is the effect when you flip her, because you have the trap, which you do run, the new trap, which we'll get to it. I'm pretty sure most of you know, but I'm just going to go over it pretty quickly. For newcomers, you flip it, you target one of your banished Shaddolls, and then you just summon it. So yeah, it's really cool. You most of the time use it to summon your construct in your combos. Then one copy of Dragon, it's your spot removal. You send it to the graveyard going second. Most of the time, like what I like to do is sending Dragon and Wendy if I'm going second from my deck with Shaddoll Fusion, because it just, you pop a back row and you also start your combos. It's really nice. And you could chain block it with Dragon, so that's also pretty cool. Which I don't know why, but like if your opponent not going to activate Ash on Shaddoll Fusion, it's really weird, but sometimes people forget to do that. I'm just going to say that out loud. I noticed few times like that people were like, oh, I just activate Shaddoll when you send the cards to the graveyard already after the Shaddoll Fusion has resolved and the effect in the graveyard work. It's really weird. You find really interesting people that don't really know to play the decks that they, build, but it's still really fun, and you help them learn, so it's also pretty cool. Anyway, free Alistair the Invoker. Again, I don't think this is the card that in fault to make the deck super powerful, but it does help raise the ceiling. I was surprised that it didn't hit this, but then again, in my banless discussion, I guess it's because of Invocation they want to get more money of it, and also because the deck is new overall, and it's pretty much the first time we see Alistair being meta, at least in the TCG. I'm not counting Wind Witch Invoked because it really wasn't meta, but yeah, free Alistair makes sense. Then the clowns, we run one of each. Some people only running one of the Trick Clown. I like to also have the Juggler because, yeah, sometimes damage things are pretty nice to have. And just having another light kind of comes up quite a bit. Then for hand traps, we're running 3 copies of Ash because it's fire and it's good. And then for the other hand trap, I don't have Nibiru because I'm not willing to play Nibiru because of how much it's cost, but I do have something else that also kind of works, because I do like to run 3 Ogre. Again, you don't have to run 3 Ogre, you can run something else. You could run something like Cosmic Cyclone, or just run 2 Ogre, like cut some of the things if you feel like it. But 3 Ogres works for me, because, again, it's light, B, it helps you get rid of annoying back row, because I'm not willing to play Lightning Storm because I don't have the money for it. So this is kind of like, oh, my opponent activate, anti-spell, boom, just activate on that, and that is gone, and you also have Light in the Grave. Really nice spot removal overall. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it does help quite a bit. And that pretty much does it for the monsters. Now move on to the spells. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Free Shaddoll Fusion, 3 Shaddoll Fusion. I don't think I need to explain both of these. This one, I think, again, it's like became even more broken right now. Again, even though Shaddoll Fusion technically was better before the new structure deck, it's kind of weird. Shaddoll Fusion once again became absolutely broken. This one is from the deck. This one is a quick effect which just help you bring out Windows all over again, but yeah, it's a really good lineup of spells, and you want to maximize of them, even though they are hard ones per turns. 3 copies of Magical Meltdown, 1 copy of Terraforming for your Searchers of Alistair. I only have 2 invocations currently, but if you have a third one, I might recommend to run a third one. It's not 100% mandatory, but sometimes you do want to hard draw this, so yeah, sometimes a third invocation is nice. Also, you could run normal polymerization or something like that if you really want to and you only have 2 or just limited number, because polymerization technically helps. It's not 100% good, but another engine that you can run with the Shaddolls is the Fluffle Imp engine. It could work. It's not perfect, but it does help. So you could do that. And then I also like to main Super Polymerization. I love this card in this format so much. This card is ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. Your extra deck is equipped to deal with your mirror matches, or just generally like, oh, I just summon Alistair, and then fusion to something that you want and discard a card, which is really cool. I love Super Polymerization. It does help me break boards going second. As you can see, like in the deck, I don't really, like, I do run some cards that help me go first and go second, and I sometimes even choose to go second because of this card. Like, it's just so good. You have ways to break your opponent's board, and just go for OTKs. It's really nice, and I love Super Polymerization. It's also good for going first as well. Anyway, one Foolish Burial, because it's a Foolish Burial deck. Like, you like Foolish Burial in almost every single deck, so yeah, why not? And then one Resh Shaddoll Incarnation. Hopefully I can pronounce that correctly. Anyway, you don't really care about its own effect, you only care about the flip effect. You only need the one, even I think in Pure, because technically you only need use this once with the aerial, but if you want to run a second one of this is really good. Also in the future there is supposed to be a trap, which is really nice, so you also might want to run that as one. But for the time being, yeah, only one trap. I don't like Core, because Core is meh. So that's pretty much does it for the main deck. Now we'll move on to the extra deck. First off, like I said, proxy. I have to proxy All Mirage. I don't have All Mirage, but All Mirage is absolutely necessary, and right now it's really cheap, so why not just go pick it up? Secure Garden, because you can go into it and just give you a light if you're forced to go first. I don't run Gravity Control, I think the name of this one, or the one that is like the 2000 Link 1. Dark one that like with an arrow to here, because in Master Rule 5 is just really not good anymore, because he just care about monsters in the extra monster zone, and in Master Rule 5 you pretty much going to summon everything in the main monster zone anyway, everywhere you want, so it's kind of doesn't really matter. Then one copy of Cross Sheep. I think Cross Sheep is ridiculous. In this deck specifically, I'm not saying it's ridiculous overall. I do agree with Harv that this card is a little bit overrated, but it is pretty powerful. I do think you see its ceiling really rise in deck like Vendrids, because it's rituals, and the draw 2, discard 2 is just really good in a deck like that. But yeah, Cross Sheep is pretty nice. One Invoker of Madness. Sometimes you don't see your Alistair. Really rarely happens, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you need to search another invocation. You play this. You fusion summon, for example, with Shaddoll Fusion, and then you search the invocation, then you banish this, and then you just get the invocation back in your deck. It's really cool to have an extra deck option. And then Boral Sword Dragon, because you want to OTK your opponent's face, pretty much. Yeah, why not? Then for the fusions, we're running a lot of them. We run 10. First off, let's start with the low-level ones. We start with Kaliga, because Kaliga is ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous cards ever. You bring this and Winda, your opponent kind of locked. Also, you have Alistair in hand, which kind of boosts this defense by 1000. So, like, it's 28. It's kind of hard to your opponent to deal with. So, yeah, this and Winda is kind of most of the time game, unless your opponent have Dark Rule or no more. But, yeah, it's most of the time that. Speaking of Winda, 2 Winda. This card is ridiculous. I do think limiting this card will be fair. I don't think it's going to stop the deck on its tracks. Just a lot of people think like the only issue is Winda, but I don't agree. Also, I do have the original art, but I just had to go with this one because I just felt it's more fitting for the new structure deck. Then one copy of Raijin. Raijin is just nice, a lot more nice in Master Rule 5. As well as, like, we do run a lot of Wendy's. We don't run 2, we run 3. And because of that, you kind of committed to the Wendy's, so you do want to have maybe Raijin in that case. As well as, like, Raijin, like I said, Master Rule 5 is a little bit better because Book of Moon kind of effect going to be a little bit better because you are going to see more of extra deck, you know, synchros, Xyz, and fusions. Not going to say perfect, but it does help you to deal with one particular additional annoying monster. Against fusion decks, not the best, but generally it's just nice to have. One copy of Epsilon, because sometimes Winda's effect is not that good. You want to bring out Epsilon to negate something. It's also a nice search. When it dies, it's pretty cool. One Pikachu. Pikachu is just Pikachu. I don't think I need to explain this one. It's just self-explanatory. 2 Construct, again, I like this artwork because of the structure deck, but 2 Construct is, again, pretty self-explanatory in that one. Then you're probably going to call me a madman, but I only run 1 Mikaba. You could run one of these, cut one of these 2 for a second one, but I specifically, even though it's like, oh, it's Mikaba, it's really good. Like I said, I don't really depend of going first all the time, and when I'm going first, I do want only 1 most of the time. Like, I don't even go to the second one because I want to do the entire Shaddolls combo, then end on this. which most of the time I only have a resource for one anyway. And let's say I do have a resources for two, like I said, Master Rule 5 kind of like making this also good, so sometimes I'm ending with those two, and I don't have enough lights anyway. It's kind of a complex thing. Most of the time I only need the one. You could cut one of those two to be your second one, either Raijin or Kaliga, but I just like the one Invoked Mikaba and not two. Also, you can cut this one, which I think is, like, I think you will be a madman to cut this. This one is ridiculous in the mirror match. It's insanity. Even in your, like, any match, this card is insanity. Because you do have not Shaddoll Fusion, but Super Polymerization, right? Your opponent, let's say he playing Invoked Shaddolls, right? He have Mikaba and Winda. You just put Super Polymerization on board, you put this on field, 4,000 defense body that can banish the entire board. This card is insane. Like, it's just the answer for almost everything. Like, again, like, I'm saying this, like, most of the time, this one is just the answer for almost all of your problems when it comes to the super poly targets, because most of the times, like, oh, you just need either an invoked monster and then just any extra deck monster, or you can just go to one of the invoked themselves, because these are the more common attributes that you're going to see anyway. It works. Like, one Elysian works. I do think it's just pretty perfect. Of course, you could decide to cut it down completely and run a second Mikaba, but I think, like, if you just don't play with Elysian, or at least give it a try, you're missing something out. I do think Elysian is awesome. Like, is just awesome. Anyway, that's pretty much does it for the deck profile. That pretty much does it for all deck profiles for Fusion Month. I hope you guys enjoyed that ride we had. Again, apologize I wasn't able to finish the entire plan I had, but, you know, family, quarantine, stuff like that, like I explained. Things happens, but like I said, I will try to finish the finale that I had in mind pretty soon. I'm probably not going to call it the name that I planned to, because we are moving to the next master role, but hope you guys enjoyed Fusion Month anyway. So yeah, see you guys next time. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe, and I'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.